Do you beat yourself up over your emotions? Do you tell yourself you're a bad Christian, you're an immature woman, or that something is just wrong with you? Or perhaps you even have another person in your life who's doing that to you and telling you that your emotions, your feelings aren't valid, that there's something wrong with you. Well, what can you do about this? How can you actually calm yourself down when you're too emotional? My name is Tawnya Kordenbrock, and I'm a licensed professional clinical counselor and the person behind arenewedlife.com. I also have an online private community where I am helping Christian women with this very issue of how they handle their emotions and learning to master their emotions and to love themselves and to have healthier relationships that are more fulfilling. And I want to be able to help you today to help you understand how it is that you can calm your emotions. But first, let's take a look at what doesn't work and why. And what doesn't work is just telling yourself to stop it, or someone else telling you to stop it, or telling you not to feel the way that you're feeling. And this is very much like if someone has an addiction. Say you are addicted to soft drinks. You're drinking 10 soft drinks a day, and you're realizing, I have got to stop this. Do you know what that is like? To stop drinking all these soft drinks when you have done this for years? Or how about smoking? I think this is an excellent example because it is so hard to stop. You can't just tell yourself, stop it. And then, oh, okay, I guess I'll just stop, doing what I've been doing for years. And that's because there's so much more that's going on there than just your behaviors of picking up a cigarette or picking up a soft drink. It's not just about that, is it? And that becomes very clear when you try to stop. You notice all that's going on with you that's surrounded with that addiction. So the reason why we can't just stop our emotions, first of all, we don't want to get rid of our emotions. And I talked about this some in my last blog post and video, so you want to check that out. And that's called Why Am I Too Emotional? I think was what that was called. But in that I explained about how the logical part of your brain is not connected to the emotional part. And this is what you're seeing being triggered. You're seeing the emotional part of your brain and those automatic patterns that go along with those feelings kicking into action. And I'll tell you, because these neural networks that have been formed even since your childhood are so strong and so fortified that it's difficult to come up against them. It's difficult to change. That doesn't mean you can't change them, because you certainly can. But the logical part of your brain does not have a strong connection to it. And so you will have to be able to use the logical part of your brain, though, to become engaged with what is going on, instead of allowing the emotional part of your brain just to kick into gear and to kick into these old patterns of how you've handled your emotions all of these years. Now, the emotional part of your brain is full of memories of when you've been hurt in the past. And it is still trying to protect you, that's its job, is to protect you. but it thinks that it needs to be in control. And it thinks that every emotionally upsetting situation that you come upon is the same as all of the hurtful events from the past. And that is why it tries to take over, or it does take over, and it kicks into gear those old patterns. And it will do that within a nanosecond. Now, what you want to be able to do is to, instead of your emotional brain, emotional part of your brain having control, you want the logical part of your brain that's up here to be in control. That is the place where you have a sound mind that the Lord describes, the Bible describes. And that sound mind is looking at the world through the eyes of the Lord, where He is providing for you, and where you feel confident that you can connect with others, that you can communicate with others, and that you can get your emotional needs met in ways that work, instead of the ways that your emotional brain is telling you works. But the logical part of your brain doesn't gain control just by telling you to stop it. Instead, what you need to do from the very beginning here is to realize that you need to slow down this whole process of what is happening for you, of what your emotional brain is doing. And so you're going to use the logical part of your brain to become like a reporter or a detective who is slowing down this process and taking some notes as to what is happening. And one of the first things that you can notice, try to notice this, and it might be hard. All of these might be difficult for you. Some might be more difficult than others. But what I want to encourage you to look at is to notice the emotions that you are feeling. And, you're going to kick into gear very quickly with your actions, but I want you to slow down a bit and to think about, what am I feeling right now? Am I feeling scared? Am I feeling anxious? Am I feeling lonely? Am I feeling unloved? And am I feeling angry? And if anger is the emotion that you are feeling, think about what might be underlying that, what might be contributing to your anger. A lot of times that can be fear of disconnect, fear of something bad happening, like someone leaving you or not loving you. Could also be loneliness or just feeling unloved. That can be under that anger. Then I want you to notice also what you are doing. Are you lashing out? Are you withdrawing? Are you condemning yourself? Are you condemning others? Pay attention to your breathing, how your breathing is going. Is your heart racing? And are you breathing quickly? Are you breathing shallow? Are you maybe holding your breath? And this can be something that can be difficult to catch also. But pay attention to that if you are holding your breath, because this is very common of what we will do when, especially if you're feeling afraid of something, or if you're feeling shame, then you might be holding your breath. Then also notice your posture. How are you holding yourself within this emotion? Are you all puffed up and stiff? Are you, are you kind of sunken in, drawing in on yourself? That kind of comes with feeling hopeless, feeling depressed. So pay attention to what you're doing with your posture also. Then notice what you are telling yourself. And here's what how I want you to do this. again, like a reporter or a detective, almost like you're another person, like standing outside of yourself and looking on and saying, oh, look at her. She is telling herself that nobody will care how she feels. She is telling herself the worst that could ever happen in this situation. She is telling herself that this is going to hurt very badly, or she's telling herself that this is just hopeless, that no one will ever care, no one will ever understand, nothing will ever change, she will never change. So put it in kind of like the third person like that, and try to look at it objectively as to what it is that you are telling yourself. Even notice, like, if you're telling yourself to stop it. I'm telling myself, just stop it, you're immature, you shouldn't feel the way that you're feeling, and those types of statements. Then lastly, I want you to notice what you are feeling in your body. The emotional part of your brain is connected to your body and will affect how you respond and how you feel. And as an example of this, can think of, like when we're in love and we draw a picture of a heart, or that's because actually when you are feeling that in love feeling, it warms your heart or gives you a sensation in your chest or in your heart. And then you can think of on the other end of the spectrum, when you are hurt and you say you have a broken heart. Well, that's because you are actually feeling pain in your heart or in your chest. And what happens in your childhood or in abusive situations when your feelings aren't validated, when people aren't showing you that those are important or that your feelings are safe with them, then you learn to ignore all of the signals that your body is giving you. So this might be a little bit difficult for you, but I want you to try to become aware of it. If you're feeling sad or lonely, you might feel that in your heart. If you are anxious, you might feel tightness in your chest. You might feel it in your throat. You could feel it in your head or your jaws or your neck. Other places that you could think about, well, let's say also I wanted to say, like, if you've been hurt very deeply, repeatedly over a long period of time, then you might notice that you are going to feel that deep, deep within you. It's almost like you've hidden it way down in yourself. And so it might be just deep in your gut. Okay, so some other places that you might want to consider would be your back. It's interesting how I find it interesting when clients will tell me this, that they feel it in their back. Other places might be in your genitals or in your butt. So pay attention to that also. And again, you want to be like that reporter and say, oh, look, she's feeling it here, she's feeling it there. So how do you calm yourself when you're feeling too emotional? First of all, remember, just telling yourself to stop it, or telling yourself that you need to get control, that, something's wrong with you, you shouldn't be feeling the way that you're feeling, that is not going to work. And in fact, it's probably part of that pattern of what you do with your emotions, so you're going to want to pay attention to that. And the reason why it doesn't work is because that logical part of your brain does not have strong connection to the emotional part of your brain, which is responding from these hurts in your relationships or hurt in situations that you are experiencing. And it thinks it is trying to protect you. and it is kicking into gear these well-worn neural networks that have with them complete behavioral patterns. And so this kicks in a nanosecond. And what you want to do instead of beating yourself up is to use the logical part of your brain as almost as a reporter or as a detective to notice what is going on with you, to notice what it is you are feeling, what it is you are telling yourself, how you are acting, what your responses are, how you're breathing and your posture, what you're doing, and lastly, what you're feeling within your body. And ideally, what you want to be able to do is while you are in the emotion or when it's just beginning, not when you're full blown into it, because then it's going to be too difficult to be in this non-judgmental place, to be just objectively looking at what's going on. So, but you want to be able to do it in the beginning when you're just starting to get these emotions and this patterns just starting to kick in, that you want to be able to be in this observational place to notice what is happening. And I'll be truthful with you, this is going to be difficult. Because this is going to kick in so quickly, but you want to be able to slow it down, and when you do, that will begin to form new nerve cells in your brain, and new neural networks can begin to form so that the logical part of your brain can be in control. But for right now, just starting out with this, what you're going to have to do is do it afterwards. So perhaps you might want to journal each day at the end of your day and look back on your day as to what happened during these times when you were emotionally upset, to examine them as to what happened for you. And before too long, okay, you will begin to do it when it's beginning to happen. And then a little further down the road, you might even notice that you are beginning to make some changes in how you are feeling and what you're noticing in your relationships, and then how you are responding to that. And before we go, I want to invite you to check out my private online community, where I can give you some more specialized help with this, to look more at the specifics of what goes on with you, and to be able to help you walk through that and work with it and come to a place where you can manage your emotions and where you are valuing them. You're also valuing yourself, and you're beginning to develop healthier relationships, more satisfying relationships. But you may not be ready for that just yet. You may not know me well enough. So I do want to give you this offer, though, which is a totally free mini course, an email course series, where I help you to be able to become more conscious of what is going on in your body, of the sensations that you are having there. Because people who especially deal with problems with self-image usually are not aware of those sensations that they're having in their body. So this mini course can help you with that. I hope you'll take advantage of it today. Bye.